That's one divide. Another divide, which it certainly is prominent in this country and in the USA, is that between so-called inclusive and exclusive legal positivism. I won't say very much about this, but this is a divide, broadly speaking, within the descriptive care. And it's a division which concerns the potential for moral principles to be laws of any particular jurisdiction, or whether in fact such principles, for reasons, in Joseph Braz's case, for reasons concerning laws claim to authority, such principles could not be among the legal norms of any system. That's one division. But for my main focus here, in the brief time remaining, is a different division, and that would be between legal positivists who see the insistence on the separability of law and morality as fundamental to legal positivism, and legal positivists who see what we might call the social factual nature of the, in most variants, the conventional character of law as fundamental, the central point on which legal positivists should be insisting. Now, my own position on this division is that of the insistence on the separability of law and morality. And I would see the latter half of this division, that is an insistence on the factual character, conventional character in most cases of law, as something derivative of this insistence on the separability of law and morality. But for me, and I think for many legal positivists, though undoubtedly not for all, the impetus for becoming a legal, or for subscribing to legal positivism is that it is the sense that law as an empirical phenomenon is importantly different from morality. There is, of course, conventional morality, moral principles that have their status as such by virtue of being accepted, and so we deem them to be moral principles. But I'm now talking about morality in some transcendent sense. And I take morality to be importantly different from law, in that I don't, I can't understand claims that law is transcendent in the way that I would understand incomparable claims about morality. So, for me, the central, the heart of legal positivism is an insistence on the separability of law and morality. But the final point that I'll make is I think it's very misleading to talk, as many legal positivists do, about some separability thesis. Because I don't think that there is any single thesis or anything that can be handily encapsulated in a tidy proposition concerning the separability of law and morality. That is, I take that there have been a number of claims put forward over the centuries and over more recent decades by natural law theorists concerning necessary connections between law and morality. And legal positivists of various sorts have assailed those claims, have sought to contest those claims. Now, not every legal positivist is in agreement with every other legal positivist on each of these points of debate. There are certain respects, for example, in which the exclusivists and inclusivists among legal positivists are certainly disagreeing with one another on some of these matters. And there are yet further points of dissimilarity. But so long as this major caveat is kept in mind, that is, that there is no single separability thesis, that instead we're talking about a number of different putative connections and a number of attempts to refute the theses asserting these connections necessary connections between law and morality. I would take the insistence on the separability of law and morality to be key, indispensable to legal positivism. Now, of course, that's not to say that there aren't any connections between law and morality, because as John Gardner has correctly pointed out, that if we take that to mean that there are no similarities between the two, then that's a ludicrously false thesis. But what I take to be the case is that connections of the sort which natural law theorists have felt it important to assert, that denying those connections is the central concern of legal positivists. And since I take those denials to be successful, my answer to the question, properly construed, is yes.